What's going on, guys? It's GBP, baby. Welcome to another video. It's currently 2:33 a.m. on Wednesday the 15th of November. And yeah, what a very expansive day we've had. This one definitely caught me off guard to an extent. We were expecting lower prices with regards to creating the low of the week, but it looks like we're doing a little bit more than that after seeing what happened on Tuesday. So let's just go down to the 1 hour so we can see how price traded. You can see that dollar was showing a lot of weakness. It actually failed to get into that blue fair value gap that I had marked out, and then we aggressively traded lower from the with the 8 a.m. News release. We did run into the south side liquidity as expected. However, we completely disrespected the breaker, taking out these lows and running a significant amount lower, running towards what looks like weekly targets. So yeah, to be honest, I don't think I've seen a Tuesday move like this. But obviously with the news that we had, and I know there's a lot of geopolitical things going on, that may explain why we saw what we saw. But it was nice to see that the weakness was correct in terms of lower prices. And now we can look at the weekly and start to figure out, okay, where are we actually reaching for on DXY if we're going to be seeing expansion like this, because this is ridiculous. Let's go to the weekly, and you can see we've taken out this week's low already. So now I'm looking at this wick, this range here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out the 50% level of that, and that will give us consequent encroachment. And I want to see how price treats this level. I wouldn't be surprised if we manage to reach this level and then saw some kind of reversal midweek, because I doubt price will be able to run straight into those lows as well. That would be quite scary actually if it did that. Let me just make sure I get the right number. 562. And I'll make that dashed, and then we know now that that is a weekly consequent encroachment that price may want to turn around at. Let's go to the daily and see if we can find any PD arrays that may be there, and we can see we have a beautiful fair value gap resting right above that level, so we can draw that out for price to trade into. Yes, we've touched it, but we're likely going to tomorrow I'd like to think that we can see this fair value gap filled. Let's make it orange. And I'll take out the midpoint, and then we can leave this in for tomorrow to see how price trades down into that, and hopefully into that weekly consequent encroachment we just marked out with the dashed lines. We'll go to the 4 hour, and we can start to try and figure out where we'd like to see a high form for the day. In fact, let me go back to the daily. The reason what I'm looking at is the buy side of this curve, and I want to see what PD arrays that we've disrespected that price will come to and now see act as resistance. For example, we have this bullish order block here, this level, this daily candle here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out the low of that, drag that out. I'm going to mark out the high of it, like so. And then I can also mark out the midpoint of this as well. And the midpoint of this is what you call mean threshold, because it's an order block. And the fact that we traded through the order block on the downside, and it's a bullish order block, we now want to see this bullish order block act as resistance. So this will be a nice area for us to find resistance in the new day tomorrow, if we manage to reach up to it. So let's just have that dash like so, and then drop down to we'll go to the 1 hour. So now we have levels marked out that we want to find resistance. We have this 50% level of that daily daily bullish order block that should now be acting bearish. So now we know once price reaches up into this premium, we can be looking for sales on dollar to hopefully run deeper into this fair value gap. But yeah, that's pretty much my expectations. I do want to see lower prices, but I'd like to think that we turn around at this level. If we don't, then we just simply start looking for the next level and continue with our bearish movements. It is possible price may fill this fair value gap first. If this is the case, like let's say we don't trade up back into this order block, if we fill this fair value gap and trade to the consequent encroachment, we might see a reversal on the Wednesday, and then we could start looking for longs. But it all depends really, and it's just a matter of waiting. Let's go to GBP, and you'll see GBP also done some craziness. Some beautiful setups though. So let's go to the daily. Oh, and then we can see how much GBP expanded higher. Now, you remember in yesterday's video saying how GBP will be the one to trade on the upside because it's showing relative strength, and we can see why. You can see we ran right up towards these highs, and if we go to the weekly, you'll see that we're completely again disrespecting bearish PD arrays. We have a fair value gap here that we traded through on the upside. So now this fair value gap, if it does get returned to, should act bullishly, and we can now keep our eyes. Let me just clear everything actually. So here's that fair value gap that we want to see act bullishly, and then this fair value gap up here, we can see that as a target. So let's make that green. And the reason this is our next target is because it's the next inefficiency above here, and you can see we've literally just traded to this 50% level. Look at that, right to the midpoint. So we'll expect some kind of retracement, and then I'd like to see a continuation up and see us fill this fair value gap. So you'll see that we're looking for different PD arrays on different pairs. For example, DXY, we're looking to see how we trade at the 50% level off a wick, whereas here we're looking for an inefficiency on the weekly, sorry. So let's go to the daily now. We can have a better look. We have this swing high above here, which is right where that fair value gap starts, which is perfect. So we can draw that out and mark it out as buy side liquidity. And then in terms of buy sell side again, we have this weekly fair value gap that we traded through on the upside. So I'd like to think if we do see some kind of retracement, perhaps in London, we can find support here and potentially offer potentially find a setup for us to then buy and run into that buy side. But let's go down to the 1 hour, see how we're moving. You see how we have this swing low, so price might want to grab that before we move higher. But again, as I was saying before, it's perfectly possible that price may quickly run up to that level, take out the buy stops, and then we'll see a reversal on the Wednesday. But it is all just a matter of waiting. Especially after a big move like this, we can anticipate a lot of consolidation. Well, not a lot, but like some significant consolidation before we see the next move. Finally, let's look at euro. We'll start with the weekly as well. And now we need to find out what euro is likely reaching for. So euro doesn't have a clear fair value gap in its sell side, which it could be reaching for, but there is actually an implied fair value gap here. So I've just pulled this swing high. Delivery on the downside, no delivery on the upside. So I want to see if price can reach above this swing high and trade into this fair value gap. You'll see we also traded to the 50% level off this wick, which was the original target for the week. But you can see we've already hit that. It will likely find support, and I'd like to think that we can start to push higher and get to our next target above this swing high. So let's go to the daily and see if we can see any inefficiency. There's a tiny inefficiency here, which is resting in that implied fair value gap, which I just marked out. And we can also start to identify inversion fair value gaps that we can hopefully see act as support in the new day. So here is an inversion fair value gap on the daily. So again, same as pound, when price does come down here, if we do see a retracement, I'd like to see this level act as support now because we traded through on the upside, kissed it goodbye. So I'd like to think that we could come down, grab more stops, and then continue higher, reaching for that implied fair value gap as I was pointing out, and above these beautiful swing highs we have here. So more importantly, the swing highs are the target. Whether it reaches that inefficiency or not is not a problem, but I know that my target is going to be that buy side liquidity. So any kind of retracement, again, I'd like to think that we can see it reach down into the inversion fair value gap. And yeah, that's going to be pretty much everything. We just have to see how much support is shown for the movements higher. Let's quickly see the 4 hour. Oh, you will see as well, this is a bearish order block and we traded through it, so we want to see that act as resistance. So again, we might not even witness price coming all the way down to this level, but this fair value gap that's created on the 4 hour between this high and this low, price will likely want to draw into that. So the levels which price will draw to is either going to be the 50% level, which you can see is here at the start of that inversion fair value gap, or the 25% level. If it's significantly bullish, it will only trade to the 25% level. So let's just get that marked out for us so we can see that as a level to potentially find an entry, because we'll see a reaction at that level if price wants to move away from there. So let's just quickly draw that out. And now at least we have some targets on the downside to offer us entries for more longs running into the Wednesday. So there's that 25% level. And then if we go to the 15 minute, we'll probably see some fair value gap there. As you can see, there's a fair value gap here. Bullish order block, so see our price acts when it gets down there. That's going to be everything, guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.